Joy Taylor had it all: fame, beauty, and a prime spot on Fox Sports. But when the cameras stopped rolling, everything fell apart. Fired, accused, and now rumored to be chasing attention with the BBL. What really happened to Joy Taylor, and how did one of TV's most admired hosts lose it all? Honestly, Brazilian butt lifts might grab attention at first glance, but their appeal rarely lasts once you look closer. They're flashy, yes, a quick ticket to temporary admiration, but what they often symbolize runs much deeper than vanity. In today's world, where appearance has become its own currency, procedures like these highlight a cultural obsession with perfection that rarely delivers lasting satisfaction. It's about more than just looks. It's about the never-ending chase to stay relevant, desirable, and visible in an industry and a society that prizes youth and beauty above all else. And perhaps no one embodies that complex tension more clearly than Joy Taylor. On July 14, 2025, Joy Taylor was fired from Fox Sports, a decision that came as little surprise to many who followed her career. Joy had spent years in sports media, known for her sharp wit and striking presence, but for some reason, the chemistry on her show never quite landed. She worked alongside co-hosts like Emmanuel Aiko and others, but the group lacked the dynamic spark that audiences crave in sports talk television, that balance of expertise, energy, and entertainment. The show had its moments, sure, but not enough to sustain momentum in a competitive environment where personalities are constantly being compared, replaced, or rebranded. Still, no one could deny Joy Taylor's on-screen charisma. She had the kind of poise and camera confidence that made her instantly recognizable, a polished figure who seemed to fit perfectly into the world of modern sports media. Networks like Fox Sports often place a premium on image, understanding that in the visual age, viewers respond not only to words and opinions, but also to presentation. Joy, with her beauty and composure, was a natural fit for that ecosystem. Her voice carried authority, and her presence added balance to often male-dominated panels. Yet, as is often the case for women in such roles, her looks became both an advantage and a limitation. What complicated her story further were the rumors, whispers in the background that wouldn't go away. Allegations surfaced suggesting that Joy had used personal relationships within the company, including with well-known figures like Skip Bayless, to gain professional traction. Whether those claims were true, exaggerated, or entirely unfounded, they cast a shadow over her accomplishments. In the public eye, perception often becomes reality, and once those narratives take root, they're difficult to uproot. For Joy, that meant her credibility as a professional host was being weighed against gossip, speculation, and the double standards women in media face daily. And yet, Joy's journey isn't just about controversy or career missteps. It's a reflection of the constant balancing act women navigate between personal identity and public expectation. A biracial woman nearing 39, she has lived much of her adult life under the spotlight. She's been celebrated for her beauty, admired for her confidence, and at times criticized for the very same qualities that once helped her rise. She's also experienced love and heartbreak, having been married and divorced, and in that, she mirrors a reality that many ambitious women face: the struggle to find stability when professional life demands constant reinvention. But beneath the gossip and the glamour lies a universal truth that transcends celebrity, that real, lasting success depends on substance, not surface. Joy Taylor's story is a case study in how modern culture often confuses visibility with value. We reward what we can see, and too often forget to ask what truly sustains it. Being attractive might open doors, but what keeps those doors open are things that can't be filtered or faked: consistency, intelligence, reliability, and integrity. Those are the qualities that build legacy, not just popularity. It's the same principle that explains why certain brands, like Apple, Google, or Mercedes-Benz, endure decade after decade. Their success isn't built on marketing flash alone, but on a foundation of performance and trust. Consumers know what to expect. They're drawn to reliability and quality. People work the same way. In relationships, friendships, and professional life, the ones who stand out are those who deliver, not those who simply look the part. beauty can inspire admiration, but dependability earns respect. For Joy Taylor, that's been her ongoing challenge. She's operated in spaces where image often takes precedence over depth, and that can distort one's sense of self-worth. When your appearance is constantly praised and your opinions are constantly questioned, it becomes easy to confuse attention with validation. And in the entertainment industry, attention is addictive. It feeds the ego even as it starves authenticity. After her departure from Fox Sports, Joy began shifting her public image, focusing heavily on fitness and personal reinvention. Her social media presence reflected discipline, confidence, and a renewed emphasis on health. Photos and videos showed her transformation, a more athletic figure, more visible muscle tone, and an image of empowerment. Yet, with that came another wave of online chatter. Some followers accused her of using enhancement pads. Others speculated that she was considering, or had already undergone, a Brazilian butt lift. It became a topic of public debate, as if her body were a public commodity to be inspected and discussed. This cycle of reinvention, speculation, and scrutiny says more about society than it does about Joy. Women in the public eye are often forced into impossible positions. If they age naturally, they're accused of falling off. If they enhance their appearance, they're labeled as insecure or fake. There's rarely a middle ground where growth, maturity, and self-acceptance are celebrated without judgment. Joy's renewed focus on her body, whether purely aesthetic or genuinely health-driven, reflects that pressure. The unspoken demand that women must constantly evolve to maintain relevance.
Be able to sit across from you and have a conversation. I do not do awkward. So if we're sitting anywhere at the most beautiful restaurant in the world and you can't carry on a conversation, I don't want to be there. And the main reason is I can afford to eat at this beautiful restaurant by myself, and I like my own company.
But here's the deeper issue. The pursuit of perfection rarely brings peace. In an industry built on comparison and competition, there's always someone younger, newer, or trendier coming up next. That's the treadmill effect of fame. The more you chase validation, the faster it slips away. Joy Taylor's journey exposes that truth in real time. She isn't alone in this struggle. Countless public figures and influencers live in the same loop of self-promotion and reinvention, trying to stay ahead of an audience that can turn indifferent overnight. The irony is that the same culture that builds stars like Joy is also the one that burns them out. When beauty, youth, and status are your selling points, you're left with little room to be human, to falter, to grow, or to simply exist without commentary. But humanity, not perfection, is what makes people relatable and enduring. Joy's story, then, becomes less about scandal or surgery and more about self-awareness, the kind that asks, what do I offer when the lights go off? In the end, it's not just about Joy Taylor or Fox Sports or even BBLs. It's about what we, as a culture, have come to value. We live in an age where perception drives opportunity, where curated images replace genuine connection, and where personal worth is often measured in likes and views rather than impact or integrity. Joy's career, with its highs and lows, is a mirror reflecting that distortion and a reminder that the spotlight can illuminate or blind, depending on how you stand in it. So before we judge her choices or dissect her appearance, it's worth pausing to understand the pressures that create them. Behind every Instagram post, behind every red carpet smile, there's a person navigating the same insecurities and doubts that define the rest of us, only amplified by millions of unseen eyes. Maybe the lesson in Joy Taylor's story isn't about scandal or surgery at all, but about balance, the courage to value self-worth over public worth, and authenticity over attention. Because at the end of the day, beauty fades, trends change, and fame is fleeting, but what truly lasts is what you build from within.
There are things I don't want to do. I don't want to go to your house. I'm not going to your house. Movies are okay, but they got to be paired with dinner, some time to talk. We're not going to church. I'm not going to meet your family. But other than that, I just think that you should just be creative. Listen to what I want to do. If I tell you my window is 10 a.m. on a Monday, I guess we're going to coffee. That's the window that you got. But this is just me.
Honestly, there's nothing wrong with what she's saying here. She's simply pointing out that when you're out on a date, you should be present and engaged, because she could be anywhere else, and giving someone your full attention shows respect and genuine interest. And you know what?
She deserves credit for that.
I can't even disagree, because I've been guilty myself of zoning out on dates or seeming distracted, and nobody likes to feel ignored. It's basic human nature. We all want to feel seen and valued when we're spending time with someone. So up to this point, she's completely right, and honestly, I think most people would agree. But of course, this is where things start to take a turn. What she's really highlighting, without even saying it directly, is something deeper about how connection works in modern dating. In a time where everyone's attention is constantly being pulled in 10 different directions, focus itself has become a kind of luxury. Think about it. You could be sitting across from someone at dinner, but your phone is buzzing, the restaurant is loud, your mind is replaying a work email, and you're halfway thinking about what you'll post later. In that environment, genuine attention becomes rare, even precious. So when she says she wants someone who's interactive, who actually listens, that's not being demanding, that's expressing a need for something that's becoming harder to find: presence. In fact, presence has almost become a forgotten art form. We live in a world that rewards multitasking, constant motion, and digital distraction. People scroll while talking, text while driving, half listen while half thinking about something else. So, when someone says, "I just want your undivided attention," it's not a plea for control, it's a request for humanity. It's saying, "I want you to actually experience this moment with me." And that's something everyone, regardless of gender, can relate to. The irony is, many people think they're being present when they're really not. We've all been on that date, or maybe we've been that person who nods along, laughs at the right moments, but mentally checks out. We do it because it's easy, and sometimes because we're afraid of genuine connection. Real engagement requires vulnerability. It means putting the phone down, silencing the noise, and risking an authentic exchange. And authenticity can be intimidating, but it's also where the magic happens. Joy's comment about attentiveness, then, isn't just about romance, it's about respect. It's about valuing someone else's time enough to show up fully, without distraction or pretense. When we do that, we communicate that the other person matters, even if just for that evening. And that kind of intentionality builds trust, which is the foundation of any healthy relationship. I'll be honest, this part of her message actually hits home for a lot of people, myself included. There's a quiet humility in recognizing that you've been that distracted person before. You might not mean any harm, but to the other person, it feels like rejection. It feels like you're saying, "You're not interesting enough to hold my focus." And that feeling lingers. That's why so many relationships start strong but fade fast, because one or both people stop paying attention. You can't nurture what you don't notice. And this is something that extends far beyond dating. In friendships, in work, even in family life, presence is a kind of love language. When you look someone in the eye and really listen, not waiting for your turn to talk, not glancing at notifications, you're saying, "I see you." That's one of the most powerful messages you can send. It costs nothing, but it means everything. So yes, Joy Taylor deserves credit for voicing that truth. Too often, when women express their expectations in dating, they're labeled as high maintenance or demanding. But in this case, she's simply expressing a basic need for emotional engagement. It's not about money, status, or looks. It's about mutual respect. And honestly, that's refreshing to hear, especially in a dating culture that often feels more like a competition than a connection. However, what makes this situation interesting is what happens next. Because while this part of her perspective feels balanced and reasonable, the tone soon shifts. It's almost as if the conversation moves from something universal like attention and communication to something more transactional. That's when things begin to unravel, and the narrative starts to reveal a different mindset, one focused less on connection and more on entitlement. But before that shift, it's important to pause and appreciate the rare moment of truth here. In a culture obsessed with instant gratification, wanting someone to be fully present is actually a radical thing to ask for. It's a rebellion against the shallow pace of modern relationships. It says, "I want quality over quantity. I want depth, not distraction." And do you know what's fascinating? This small expectation, wanting attention, reveals a much larger truth about what people actually crave. It's not luxury, it's not excitement. It's not even constant passion. What most people really want is to be understood. They want to be heard without judgment, to share a story without feeling like they're competing for airtime. That's the kind of connection that sticks, that builds over time. So, in that sense, Joy's point is almost timeless. Generations change, trends evolve, and dating apps come and go, but the core human need for attention and empathy doesn't fade. It's the thing that keeps relationships alive. When people stop listening, when they stop caring, that's when everything starts to crumble. So yes, her statement makes sense. It's fair, it's human, and it's relatable. She's right to expect engagement and attentiveness on a date because it sets the tone for everything else. You can't build something real with someone who's only half present. But as we'll soon see, the line between healthy expectation and unrealistic demand can get blurry. And while her perspective begins on solid ground, what follows will reveal just how quickly good intentions can morph into something else entirely.
I'm someone who has a lot of trauma. Now, I am in no way fully recovered from all of the things that I have been through. And I don't know that I ever will be. But I don't think that means...
Now, this is where things start to get a little complicated. Joy begins talking about wanting to be taken to upscale restaurants and how, if someone wanted to buy her a $2,000 glass of wine, that would be perfectly fine. And while it's understandable, she spent years surrounded by wealth and luxury. This kind of statement reveals a deeper issue. Many people who've always been admired for their looks can struggle to recognize when their influence or leverage begins to fade. In Joy's case, being in her late 30s and no longer getting calls from major networks like ESPN or MSNBC, it's clear her professional demand has slowed down. Yet, there's still this lingering sense of entitlement, as if her market value hasn't changed. That disconnect, expecting extravagant gestures while bringing less tangible value to the table, is what makes the comment feel tone-deaf. Even mentioning a $2,000 wine as a casual dating expectation doesn't just sound unrealistic, it exposes how perception and reality can drift apart when self-awareness slips. And just when you think that's as bad as it gets, well, it actually gets worse. At this point, Joy starts listing everything she won't do. She's not going to church, she's not meeting your family, and she expects you to simply accept her terms without question. But when a man hears that kind of talk, it sends a clear message. You're not dealing with someone ready to build something genuine. Instead, it sounds like a person still carrying the weight of past experiences, projecting old frustrations onto whoever's in front of her now. That kind of energy makes dating feel like a punishment rather than a partnership. And this, unfortunately, is a pattern seen in many women like Joy Taylor, those who've grown used to doing things their own way and refuse to compromise when it matters most. When that happens, relationships stop progressing, and instead of self-reflection, the goalposts keep shifting. Eventually, we start to see the bigger picture of why Joy Taylor's situation is the way it is. When Joy Taylor admitted she has trauma, it was actually refreshing in a way. Honesty about emotional scars is something many people, men and women alike, struggle to express. But acknowledging trauma is only the first step. The problem comes when that pain begins to shape how you approach new relationships. Many women, especially those who've faced repeated disappointments, tend to carry their emotional baggage more visibly than men, guarding their hearts while unknowingly pushing others away. In Joy's case, she's nearly 39, successful, and financially secure, but her expectations, wanting a man equally established while refusing to engage in the deeper parts of partnership like meeting family or sharing faith, create a disconnect. On Paul Pierce's podcast, she openly discussed dating younger men, admitting that they don't care about her age, which explains why that dynamic appeals to her. But the truth is, most successful older men aren't drawn to a woman who sets rigid boundaries about what she won't do while still expecting generosity and emotional investment. From a man's perspective, especially one who's worked hard and built something for himself, it feels unreasonable to be told no at every turn while being asked to give more. And when a woman publicly declares her trauma without seeking healing, it raises red flags. Why would anyone sign up for that instability? So what happens next is predictable. Joy leans into the aesthetics, focusing on her looks, the workouts, and even the BBL rumors, hoping to capture attention online through thirst traps rather than connection. But men, especially those with experience, see through that. Younger guys might chase it for the thrill, unaware of what they're really walking into, but seasoned men recognize it as a pattern, an attempt to fill emotional gaps with external validation. This isn't unique to Joy. It's something we've seen with other public figures like Tracy Ellis Ross or Lala Anthony, women once admired for their success and beauty, who now find themselves navigating a dating world that no longer bends easily to them. And the lesson here is universal. No matter how successful, beautiful, or charismatic someone is, if their public persona projects bitterness or emotional chaos, it becomes repellent. People, especially men with options, are drawn to peace, not turmoil. What we're watching with Joy Taylor isn't just a career shift, it's a cautionary tale about self-awareness, healing, and the danger of letting unresolved pain rewrite your story in public view. When you look at how things turned out, it's almost predictable. Take Cardi B, for example. Once calling out Offset publicly and now caught up in complicated relationships like the one with Stefon Diggs, a man juggling multiple situations at once. What was once a position of influence has shifted into being just another name in someone else's story. And that's what happens when self-awareness fades. You stop recognizing your place in the market and start believing that your past shine will always guarantee new opportunities. Many women fall into this same trap, thinking that setting high demands or leaning on their looks will be enough to keep people interested. But when there's no real value exchange, people simply walk away. And when the attention dries up, the fallback move becomes predictable. The thirst traps, the fitness clips, the cosmetic enhancements, all attempts to prove you've still got it. But here's the truth most don't want to face. Men with real success or substance can find physical beauty anywhere. What keeps their interest is peace, respect, and genuine connection. So while the likes of Joy Taylor, Cardi B, or Tia Mowry might turn heads online, the constant performance of "look at me, I still matter" only pushes away the kind of people they actually want to attract. It's a reminder that confidence without humility turns into delusion, and no matter how good you look, if self-awareness and emotional growth don't evolve with you, the world eventually moves on.